Every day, many people spend money on things that are not necessary. We buy clothes that we rarely wear, gadgets that we use only a few times, and decorations that we forget after a short time. At the moment of buying, these things seem exciting and important, but after some time, we may look at them and ask ourselves a quiet question: why did I buy this? Understanding this habit can help us understand ourselves better. One reason people buy things they do not really need is emotion. Human decisions are often guided by feelings, not by logic. When we feel sad, bored, or stressed, buying something can create a small moment of happiness. It is similar to eating a sweet dessert after a difficult day. The feeling is pleasant, but it does not solve the real problem. For a short time, a new object can make us feel better. The package arrives, we open it, and we feel a little excitement. However, this feeling usually disappears quickly, and life returns to normal. Another reason is the desire for reward. After working hard, many people feel that they deserve something nice. Buying something becomes a way to celebrate effort. A person may say to themselves, "I worked very hard this week, so I will buy this for myself." There is nothing wrong with rewarding ourselves sometimes. The problem appears when this habit becomes automatic. If every small success leads to a purchase, spending can slowly grow without us noticing it. Advertising also plays a very powerful role in our decisions. Modern advertising is designed to speak directly to our emotions. Companies do not only sell products, they sell stories, dreams, and identities. A simple watch is not presented as just a tool to tell time. Instead, it becomes a symbol of success, confidence, or adventure. When we see these messages again and again, we may begin to believe them without realizing it. The product starts to feel like a missing piece of our life. Social influence is another important factor. Humans naturally compare themselves with others. In the past, people mainly compared themselves with neighbors or friends. Today, social media has made this comparison much stronger. On the internet, we often see images of perfect lifestyles. People show new clothes, new technology, and beautiful homes. Even if we know these images show only a small part of reality, they can still influence our thoughts. When everyone seems to have something new, we may feel that we should have it too. Sometimes the pressure is very subtle. No one directly tells us to buy something. However, we slowly feel that owning certain things means we are successful or modern. Without these items, we may worry that we appear behind others. This feeling can quietly push us to spend money, even when we do not truly need the product. Convenience also plays a big role in modern shopping. In the past, buying something required time and effort. People had to travel to a store, choose carefully, and carry the item home. Today, the process is extremely easy. With just a few clicks on a phone, a product can arrive at our door in a few days. Because the process is so simple, we sometimes buy things without thinking deeply. The small barrier that once slowed our decisions has almost disappeared. Another interesting reason is curiosity. Humans are naturally curious creatures. When we see a new product, we want to know what it feels like to use it. This curiosity can make us buy something simply to experience it. For example, a person may buy a new kitchen tool, even if they rarely cook. They imagine that the tool might inspire them to start cooking more. Sometimes this hope becomes true, but often the object stays in a drawer after a few weeks. There is also the influence of temporary excitement. When we see a discount or a limited time offer, our brain reacts strongly. The idea of missing an opportunity can feel uncomfortable. Even if we were not planning to buy the product, the fear of losing a good deal can push us to act quickly. After the purchase, we may realize that saving money on something unnecessary is not the same as making a wise decision. Our identity also affects the way we shop. Many people use objects to express who they are. Clothing, technology, books, and many other items can become symbols of personality. Someone who wants to appear creative may buy artistic tools. Someone who wants to look professional may invest in expensive work items. These purchases are not always practical, but they help people build an image of themselves. In this way, shopping becomes connected to the story we tell about our lives. Sometimes we buy things because we imagine a future version of ourselves. A person may buy sports equipment because they want to become more active. Another person may buy many books because they want to read more in the future. These decisions come from hope and good intentions. However, the object alone cannot create change. Real change requires time, effort, and consistent action. Without these elements, the object remains only a symbol of a plan that never fully happens. There is also a psychological effect called the newness effect. Humans often feel excited when something is new. A new phone, a new bag, or a new decoration can create a feeling of freshness in life. The object itself may not be very different from what we already have, but the feeling of novelty makes it attractive. Over time, however, the new item becomes normal and the excitement disappears. Then the cycle may start again with another new purchase. Another reason people buy unnecessary things is that money itself can feel abstract. When we use digital payment, we do not always feel the same connection to our spending as when we use physical cash. Numbers move on a screen, but the money does not feel as real. Because of this, it can be easier to spend more than we originally planned. In addition, modern life often moves very quickly. Many people feel tired or overwhelmed after long days of work and responsibilities. In these moments, careful decision-making requires energy that we may not have. Buying something simple can feel easier than thinking deeply about whether we truly need it. Convenience wins over reflection. However, understanding these reasons does not mean that buying things is bad. Objects can bring comfort, usefulness, and beauty to our lives. The goal is not to stop buying completely. Instead, the goal is awareness. When we understand why we feel the desire to buy something, we gain a small moment of control. In that moment, we can ask ourselves a gentle question. Do I really need this? Or do I simply want the feeling that comes with it? This simple pause can change many decisions. Sometimes we will still decide to buy the item, and that is perfectly fine. At other times, we may realize that the desire will pass if we wait a little. Often, the strongest impulse disappears after a short time. What felt urgent yesterday may feel unimportant today. Another helpful habit is focusing on experiences rather than objects. Experiences such as learning a new skill, spending time with friends, or exploring nature often create deeper and longer-lasting memories. Objects may lose their excitement quickly, but meaningful experiences can stay with us for years. It is also useful to reflect on what truly adds value to our lives. Some people find joy in simple spaces with fewer possessions. Others enjoy collecting certain items that have personal meaning. There is no single correct way to live. The important point is that our choices should match our real values, not only the influence of advertising or social pressure. When we become more aware of our habits, we start to see patterns. We may notice that we tend to shop when we feel stressed, bored, or lonely. Recognizing these patterns allows us to search for other ways to respond to these emotions. For example, instead of shopping, we might go for a walk, talk with a friend, or spend time on a creative activity. In the end, the question of why we buy things we do not really need is actually a deeper question about human nature. It shows how emotions, identity, social influence, and modern technology shape our behavior. Buying unnecessary things does not mean a person is weak or careless. It simply means they are human. The more we understand these forces, the more gently and wisely we can make our decisions. Instead of feeling guilty about past purchases, we can treat them as lessons about our own psychology. Each purchase tells a small story about what we were feeling, what we were hoping for, and what we believed would bring us happiness. When we learn to listen to these stories, something interesting happens. Shopping becomes less about filling an empty space and more about making thoughtful choices. We begin to realize that happiness rarely comes from the number of things we own. Instead, it often grows from the quality of our experiences, our relationships, and our understanding of ourselves. And when we reach that point, the question, "Do I really need this?" becomes more than a financial question. It becomes a quiet moment of self-awareness. In that moment, we are not just choosing whether to buy an object. We are choosing the kind of life we want to build.